So for years, what we've done is we've gotten a group of people together and we've pushed the dragster up the driveway and into the garage. And I've finally broken down and I've bought a winch. And the idea is that we'll mount the winch to the floor of the garage and then we'll be able to pull the dragster up the driveway. Now you haven't seen my driveway, but it's got one heck of a slope to it. In fact, it takes at least 4 people to push it up the driveway. Now, it only weighs 1,440 pounds. So you can imagine what the slope is like if it takes 4 people. So I wasn't going to trust my dragster to a Harbor Freight winch. So I went with this one, name brand. Here we are with instructions again. We don't need them. I'm very surprised to see that they only supplied hardware grade bolts, not even grade 8. I can tell you we're not going to use those. This thing is pretty heavy. Well, I'm impressed. I think it looks pretty good. So now we got to figure out how to mount this thing. I think what I want to do is mount the winch to a plate and then mount the plate to the floor of the garage. Oh, what the heck? It's not going to be wide enough.
That's fine.
I wanted an inch overhang. I guess I can do it. We'll just make it a little long and I'll put the bolts on the ends. Time to drag out the plasma cutter. What I do is I put a piece of metal down and I use that as a guide. I've always found that the nozzle of the plasma gun kind of sticks. So if I have a guide, I can just kind of run it along the guide and I get a pretty straight cut that way. Okay, here we go. That's one piece. Now we got to trim this other piece off. Get it all lined up here. Alright, second cut coming up. I'm getting pretty clean cuts. The piece falls right off. I used to go too fast and I'd end up with metal that was still attached. You had to take a hammer to it. But lately they've been falling right off. I'm running out of this metal. I don't have too much of it anymore. Alright, now with plasma cutter, it leaves a rough edge. So you gotta grind it off to make it smooth. All right. Now we're going to find the center. And we're going to mount the winch reel right over the center. Now what I'm doing here is I take tape and I put it on the bottom of the winch, and then I take a little ball peen hammer and I tap around all the holes, and that gives me a template of the holes. So here's the template. So now all I got to do is drill holes. Yeah, I think that'll work. So I gotta find the center of the holes so I can do a center punch. Now, a paint marker isn't the most precise thing, but it's close enough. These holes were quite large. Okay, now we've got the centers of the holes marked. So choose a size. Alright. Now what I have here is a quick center punch. It just puts a little dimple in the metal. And then I'll come back with a regular punch and a hammer and give myself a good center punch. I think that's ready to be drilled. A little oil, keep the tip of the drill cool, and drill a lot of holes that way. Saves the drill. I think 6 bolts is enough to hold the winch on. Bolts will be in shear, so it's not like it's going to try to pull them out. Alright, now we got to enlarge the holes. So the idea is to get the hole the right size for the bolt. And then what I'll do is I'll cut the heads off the bolts. And then I'll set the bolt into the hole and do a rosette weld on the back, so the weld is bigger than the hole, and that way it has to pull the whole weld through the hole, and I don't think it's going to do that. Just to be on the safe side, I'm going to have my wife Ann sit in the dragster, so should something break loose, she can stamp on the brake and stop it going down the hill.
Good.
Yeah, pretty good. I think that'll work. Not much room on the far side. I don't know what they would expect you to do. I mean, you couldn't get a bolt in from the top side down. There just isn't the room. So now we got to cut the heads off these bolts. You know what I'm surprised at? Is I didn't burn myself on this project. Not once. Okay, that's 6 bolts. That's what we need. So now we're going to take these, they're now studs, and we're going to weld them in. Six bolts. Looks like I have one extra. Alright. Just a little tack to hold it in place, make sure it's all lined up. Flip it over and make sure it's all straight. That's good. Okay, now we're going to weld them up for real. Nice, hot, deep penetration. See the circle of motion? Nice rosette. Make the weld bigger than the hole. Okay, now we're going to grind the welds off so the thing will sit flat on the floor. That's why I needed good penetration. I actually set the bolts in the hole about a 1/16 of an inch. Okay, let's test it. Yeah, that'll work. I like it. Enough room for a lock washer. So now we have to drill the holes for the Tapcon bolts. Now Tapcon, T-A-P-C-O-N, is a name brand bolt. It's meant to be a concrete fastener. And I looked it up, and a 1/2-inch Tapcon bolt is supposed to be able to withstand 1,000-pound pull. So the winch itself is only good for 1,000. I'm going to use 8 of these bolts, so I think I'm good. My only concern is the bolts that I welded in. So how do you really test that? I think they're good. I think we'll find out tomorrow. So I drilled these holes a little bit bigger than a 1/2 inch. That'll give me a little fudge factor when I go to put them in up in the garage. So 8 holes. So now we're up in the garage, and that access panel actually goes to the back porch. The dragster is too long to fit in the garage. It's a 200-inch wheelbase. It's a full-bodied dragster and has a chute pack body on the back, so it adds length. So what I do is I take the panel out and I stick the nose of the dragster out on the back porch. It was kind of a deal I struck up with my wife. She allowed me to do this if I remodeled the kitchen. So the kitchen did get remodeled, although it's not done yet. So let's find the center. And check it. And now we're going to mark the holes. Alright. Now this is a hammer drill. And boy, does it make life easy. Most people want to put a lot of weight on it. You actually got to let it do its work. If you just put gentle down pressure, well, a little more than gentle, and let the hammer action do its work, it drills the holes pretty easy. There's a convenient plug right there. We're going to use it for the winch also. So I got to keep reminding myself not to put a lot of pressure on it. Just let the drill do the work. Now there's two things they tell you that you have to do with these bolts. One is the hole has to be the right size. Two is that you got to get all the dust out of the hole. Oh, and actually there's a third. You want the hole at least a ½ inch deeper than what the bolt is long. Okay, you guys all saw the mod I made to this air wand. It sure makes a big difference. Get all the dust out. Alright, now we gotta prep the base. First thing to do is to get the scale off the steel. So I sandblast it. And now we have metal with no scale. Now it's time to powder coat. First step in powder coating is to outgas the metal. By outgassing, what you do is you put the metal in the oven about 50 degrees hotter than what you're going to powder coat at. So that's 450, and let it run for 45 minutes. Now what I'm going to do is use super chrome as my base coat, and then I'm going to use a candy red as my top coat. So this is the super chrome. I have yet to make this come out looking good with just clear on top. Just looks like shiny silver. Don't like it at all, but it works great for a base coat for the candy. Alright, it's been outgassed and we're ready to put on the base coat. Gotta wear the dust mask and check it. Now I know it looks like dull gray, but once you heat it, it becomes very shiny. Unfortunately, when you put the clear on top of it, it dulls it down. So in it goes in the oven. Now we're going to cook this at 400 degrees for 45 minutes. And that'll cure this super chrome powder coat. Alright, we got 400 degrees. And we get the timer set. Okay, with the magic of video, 45 minutes have gone by, and we have powder coated super chrome. And boy, it looks nice until you put clear on top of it. So here goes the candy red. I do this more for protection than anything else. It's going to sit on a concrete floor. I don't want it to rust. Okay, in the oven it goes. Another 45 minutes at 400 degrees. And timer's set. 45 minutes have gone by. Time to pull it out. So it's hot, so I use vice grips to grab a hold of it. It works like a nice handle. Alright, let's mount it up. Put it together. I don't know, I'm a little nervous about these bolts. I don't know if... I wish I knew that my welds were good enough. We'll have Ann in the car, so if anything happens, she can step on the brake. There's no room here at all. I don't know how they expected you to put a bolt in here. Well, it runs. It's pretty slow. Alright, these are the Capcom bolts. And what I did is I got them all started, because the holes weren't perfect. I'll tell you what, they're really in there. I don't think these bolts are coming out. This one went in a little crooked. Sorry about the view. I should have set up a second camera. I was just trying to get done at this point. We're supposed to move the dragster tomorrow. So now I'm running the rest of them all the way down. And I didn't tighten them, I just brought them down until it was snug. I spent the last couple of days trying to clear the snow out of the driveway, let the sun hit the blacktop and melt it. I've got the driveway pretty clean at this point. There's still some snow out in the road, but I think we'll be okay. I'm a little surprised. I expected this winch to pull the cable in a little quicker than what it does. It'll get the job done. So, we're at the end here, so you know what the speech is. If you've liked this, found it informative, would you click the thumbs up, the like, and subscribe. Thank you very much. I'll let you know how it goes tomorrow when we try to pull the dragster into the garage.